My Lord, Mr. Ramos Sepele referred to some literature from the AFTE. I don't know if there'll be any objection if we hand up the literature as an exhibit. Just to spare everybody the effort to do the research on the topic. I think it's the same literature that Mr. Ramos referred to. I'll just give copies to council. I don't know if there's any objection from the side of Mr. Ramos Sepele to use the literature.
My cross-examination, I asked Lieutenant Colonel Mangena of certain concepts to define and to assist us in understanding the theory and the method he applied to come to the findings. I know this document, but I've never referred to it. This is the so-called AFT glossary of terms. I did not refer to this, but I referred to certain concepts from it. And the question that I asked in particular was with respect to the three principles of the theory of identification. And Mr. Mangena had a document from his side that he read from. I did not refer him to any specific documentation.
It's fine, Madam. We can come back to this document. Lieutenant Colonel Mangena, Mr. Ramos Sepele, as is just mentioned, refers to three principles of identification for comparing fired bullets as laid down by the Association of Firearms and Tool Examiners. It's the abbreviation AFTE is used to describe the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners. And for now, I'll refer to the third principle that Mr. Ramos Sepele referred to, and it's stated as follows. It says, the heading says, the three principles of the AFTE theory of identification as it relates to two marks are, and as Mr. Ramos Sepele just pointed out, there are three. We'll refer to the first and the second one at the later stage, but I just want us to focus on the third one, which reads as follows. Currently, the interpretation of individualization, identification is subjective in nature, founded on scientific principles and based on the examiner's training and experience. And here, I just want the emphasis to fall on the examiner's training and experience. Is it correct that in addition to the training and experience of an examiner, certain authors also add to the list the expertise, training and judgment of the examiner?
That's correct, madam.
Khona izimiso ezintathu ezihambelana nokuhlaziya ezihlanganiswa abochwepheshe ba lo mkhakha lo wokuhlaziya iy'nhlamvu. Manje-ke ukubuza ukuthi-ke lokho okufundisa lapho-ke kwafundiswa yini ochwepheshe be-Nokia?
Now, do you have these attributes to make the accurate identification?
Bathe unabo yini lobu buchwepheshe ukuthi ungakwazi ukuthi ukhombe ngokufanele?
That's correct, I have now.
Yebo ngina.
Your experience was traversed when you testified on the 30th of August 2023, and we see that on page 9 up to 18 of the report. That's right. I think from line 9 of the record of the 30th of August 2023 up to page 18.
Isipiliyoni sakho lapho siveziwe lapha kule record yamhla 30 kuyofika August iqala page 9 kuyofika page 18.
That is correct,
Is
madam.
that correct?
Yebo kunjani?
But the high watermark of your career history is that you have 29 years experience in the ballistic science.
Kusho ukuthi-ke okukhulu-ke kulesi sipiliyoni sakho ukuthi uneminyaka amashumi amabili nesishiyagalolunye usebenzisa lapha kwa-ballistic.
That's correct, madam.
Athi yebo kunjani?
And Advocate Mshololo also took you through your experience.
Advocate Msholo naye-ke udlulile-ke ekukukhombiseni noma ukuxoxeni nawe ngesipiliyoni sakho.
And in the 29 years, is it correct that your duties entail reconstruction of scenes and ballistic examination and comparison of specimen?
Manje-ke lapho-ke emsebenzini wakho-ke bekuhlanganisa yini ukuthi uzame ukubuyisa isithombe sokuthi ubugebengu benzeke kanjani nokuthi-ke uhlole-ke izinto ezihambelana ne-ballistic?
That is correct, madam.
Yebo kunjani?
And as regards your training, Advocate Mshololo did this morning take you through the training that you underwent. But on page 9 of the record of the 30th of August 2023, you set out the training that you underwent, amongst others, forensic ballistic science, identification of ammunition, fire cartridges, the use of microscopic equipment.
Manje kuloko akudluse kona kusho ukuthi ufunde nokuthi uhlole ukuhlanganisa nama-cartridge nokusebenzisa-ke ama-microscope emsebenzini.
That is correct, madam.
Athi yebo kunjani?
On page 10, you refer to the training in internal ballistics, the functioning of a firearm mechanism during the firing process, external forensic ballistics, terminal forensic ballistics.
Kusho ukuthi lapho ufunde izindlela ezahlukene zokuhlola isibhamu nokudubula kwazo ingaphakathi lesibhamu ukuthi lisenza kanjani nokuthi isibhamu sonke sisenza kanjani u-ballistic.
That is correct, madam.
Athi yebo kunjani?
And on page 11, paragraph or line 12, you mentioned that in August 2002, you attended the course presented by the Federal Bureau of Investigation of United States, which comprised the following: a bullet trajectory, construction techniques in firearm identification, gunpowder and gunshot residue.
Ufelsileke futhi nokuthi ngo-August 2022 wayofundela ngaphansi kwe-FBI United States ukuthi ke inhlamvu uma uzama ukubuyisa isithombe sokuthi inhlamvu ehambe kanjani nokuthi ke isibhamu ukwazi kanjani ukuthi usho ukuthi isibhamu lesi siluphi ohlobo nanokuthi ke i-gunpowder nokuthi ke okusalelayo makudutshulwe esibhamini kusebenza kanjani.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani.
And just at the bottom of that page, line 19, you mentioned that in November 2010, you attended a course presented by Ross and Gardiner, and the course entailed, amongst others, crime scene reconstruction level 1.
Bathi ngo-November 2010 kukhona izifundo owayezifundela ezazi zethulwa uRoss and Gardner nokuthi ke ukhona ke lawa uhamba uyofundela nokunyeke ukuhambelana nokuhlola izibhamu.
That is correct. It was Ross Gardner and Tom Bever.
Yebo uRoss Gardner no Tom Bever.
And just lastly on this point, you mentioned page 8, from line 6, that you have up to date examined in excess of 5,620 cases. You examine ballistic related cases as part of your daily task and testify on a regular basis in the courts of South Africa.
Ushiloke futhi umi wakho ukuthi wahlola wasebenza izikhathi ezihlanu ezingabe zidlula u-5,620 uhlola lapho ke kwenzeka khona ke ubugebengu nokuthi uhlole ke usebenza ngayo le ballistic nokuthi ke wathola ke amathuba ukuthi uze uzoletha ubufakazi ezinkantolo mayelana nalo umsebenzi wakho.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani.
Now, since the matter was adjourned since your evidence was adjourned in August of last year, on the 31st of August 2023, have you done any further cases, testified in any new cases?
Mhla wagcina ke ngomhla 31 August 2023 uyofika la namhlanje khona yini amanye amacala obususebenze ngawo eletha ubufakazi ngawo?
That is correct, my lord. I was doing cases on normal days, on daily basis. Currently, I'm approximately 6,000 cases that I have completed.
Abo ngaqhubeka ukwenza umsebenzi wokuhlaziya nokuhlola ballistic lapha emsebenzini njengamanje nje sengibona sengathi sengiyeqile ngizeqile inkulungwane eziyisithupha zama case ebengilomsebenza ngawo.
And testifying in courts?
Kuso letha ke yini ubufakazi nasezinkantolo?
That's correct, my lord. I regularly testify in cases on most of the examinations that I have done.
Yebo ngiyaletha ubufakazi ezinkantolo ngalamacala lawo ebese ngisebenze ngawo ngokwejwayelekile.
Now, Mr. Ramusepile referred you to the subjective nature of the ballistic interpretation and identification as set out in this third principle that I've just alluded to.
Baba kuRamsipili ukhulumile ngendlela okuchemile ukusebenza ngokuhlola iballistic njoba sikhulume ngazo lezi izimiso ezintathu ngisho ke lesi simiso sesithathu sokuthi ufanele usebenze ngendlela engachemile.
That's correct, my lord.
Bathi yebo kunjani.
You testify that in addition to the class characteristics, that you also look at the individual characteristics.
Uyavuma futhi ukuthi ngaphandle ukuthi uhlole izimpawu ezijwayele ukutholakala khona ke lezi zimpawu ezihambelana nalenhlamvu oyibhekile ngalesikhathi.
That is correct, my lord.
Ethi yebo kunjalo.
And that these individual characteristics on the length and the groove of the barrel of a firearm are imparted on the bullets, producing individual characteristics.
Futhi ke nokuthi ke umbhobho wesibhamu ke ushaya izimpawu ezithile zingafani nezinye ezidutshulayo umbhobho wesinye isibhamu eyinhlamveni.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjalo.
And these individual characteristics, are they peculiar to a specific firearm, or are they, or what is the position?
Manje lezi zimpawu lezi ezisheka enhlamvini zishiwa isibhamu zitholakala esibhamini esisodwa yini noma zonke izibhamu zinezimpawu ezifanayo ezisheka enhlamvini?
My lord, they are unique to a specific firearm.
Kusho ukuthi lezi zimpawu lezi ziphuma ke kuphela esibhamini esithize, azifani nezimpawu ezishiwa esinye isibhamu.
Now, in cross-examination by Advocate Nisi about the identification of the marks, you testify that you have compiled and presented the court charts as we have seen, the Exhibit X13E series, and that you have demonstrated these unique marks that you have identified for all to see. Do you confirm that?
And futhi ke isikhathi ke ubuzwa u-advocate Mnisi ukwazile ukuthi ke wakhe umbiko ongene enkantolo njengo-exhibit 13.
I think the state needs to put it very clear.
I can't hear you.
I'm saying the state needs to put it very clear. It can't say for all to see. The state must bear in mind that we are not at idem on the identification of the marks by Lieutenant Colonel Mangena.
So you can't use for all to see?
Yes.
Because some of them you didn't see. Those marks, you didn't see them.
They were not there, my lord. You can't see
It's
something
semantics.
which is not
Yes.
there.
No, it's semantics.
Yes,
For all to see.
Yes.
It doesn't mean for all to see if they can be able to see that. That's how I understand it.
No, my lord. We need to be very. We need
No,
to
no,
be
because
very.
this witness-
We need to be very
this
cautious
witness-
with our wording.
This
The
witness,
state.
wait,
Sorry,
this
madam.
witness-
Yes.
This witness says, if you don't want to see them, you won't see them. You remember him saying that? This witness.
I don't
You don't
remember
remember
him
that?
saying
Okay, fine.
if you don't want to see them,
You can't see
won't
them.
see
You
them.
won't see them. He said that.
That if somebody
Sir,
does not want
am
to
I
see them,
quoting
you
you?
won't see them.
Am I quoting you correctly?
That's correct.
I listen. If you don't want to see them, they are there. If you don't want to see them, you won't see them. I'm quoting you. Okay, fine, you get it.
But my objection, my lord, is to the effect that the
Let's
Kombisile lapha kulama chart owalethile.
That's correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjalo.
And also explain them in court.
And futhi waphinde wachaza phambi kwenkundla.
That's correct. I did that, my lord.
Yebo ngikwenzile lokho.
Now, Advocate Nisi put it to you that you have got it all wrong regarding the correct application of the consecutive matching stride. I think Advocate Mshololo also made the same proposition to you. Advocate Nisi mentioned that you've got it all wrong regarding the correct application of the CMS as imparted by Bruce Moran and John Maddock.
Advocate Minister uthazamile ekuletheni ke incazelo yokulandelana kwezimpawu no Advocate Mshololo naye ubekisile ukuthi khona la uphazeme khona uma silandelela ke indlela okufundiswe ngayo ilabo bekufundisa ukuhlola izimpawu. uBruce Moran naye sizana naye.
And he mentioned further that they'll demonstrate this as the trial unfolds.
Futhi bathi bazoqhubeka naloku chaza lokho makusaqhutshekwa no necala nokuqulwa kwecala.
Now, coming back to the principles of identification as referred to by Mr. Ramsipili,
Masibuyakela-ke ezimisweni zokuhlola njengoba zibekwe ubaba Ramsipili.
as indicated to you, he referred to the three principles of identification.
Njengoba sekubekiwe-ke kuwena uphawule ngezimiso ezintathu ezisetshenziswayo.
Which he put on record.
Lezi-ke azibeke ukuthi ziqoshwe.
In short, is it correct that the theory of identification as stipulated by the AFTE postulates two methods of identification?
Akulona iqiniso ukuthi laba kwa-FTE babeka izimiso ezimbili kuphela zokuhlaziya.
That is correct, my lord.
Okay, kunjalo.
And this is what Advocate Mshololo took you through in her cross-examination.
Yilokho-ke u-Advocate Mshelele akuze ngako ngesikhathi ebuza imibuzo.
And during cross-examination by Advocate Mshololo, you mentioned that there are two methods of identification, namely the pattern matching and the consecutive matching strier or CMS.
Njengoba Advocate Mshololo uvezile ukuthi kunendlela ezimbili zokuhlola enye isebenzisa ama-pattern enye ile ekuthiwa i-CMS.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjalo.
Are these two different theories, or do they all subscribe to the theory of identification?
Lezi zinto lezi ama-theory ahlukene noma asizana ekuzameni ukukhomba iy'mpawu.
They both subscribe to the theory of identification, and you can use both of them.
Zombili lezi asetshenziswa ekuhloleni iy'mpawu futhi ungakwazi-ke nokuthi uzisebenzise zombili lezi ndlela.
Now, is it correct that with pattern matching you consider all marks in totality?
Lapha ku-pattern matching usebenzisa zonke yini iy'mpawu ngokugcwala kwazo.
That is correct. You look at all marking and then you look at the pattern that they form.
Yebo ubheka iy'mpawu zonke bese ubheka-ke ne-pattern ukuthi zakha yiphi i-pattern.
If, say, just to give an example, if there are two marks in relative position on if there are 6 grooves on a bullet, and on the first groove there are 2 marks in the relative position on the exhibit bullet and the test bullet, and in the second groove there are perhaps 3 marks in a relative position in a exhibit bullet and test bullet, and on the third groove there's 1 matching mark in the relative position, and perhaps on the fourth groove there are 2 matching marks, and on the fifth and sixth groove there are 3 matching marks each. Is it correct that your evidence is that you look at the cumulative aspects of these marks?
Manje umuthola ukuthi-ke emseleni wokuqala kukhona iy'mpawu ezibonakalayo, kwesibili kuthiwa iy'mpawu ezehlukile kulo mselo wokuqala, nowesithathu ube ney'mpawu ezehlukile, nowesine nowesihlanu kanjalo kanjalo. Kuyiqiniso yini ukuthi uma ubheka ngokugcwele iy'mpawu zibonayo?
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjalo.
In fact, I think that the court used the term composite.
You
look at the
inkantolo ke
composite
isebenzise
aspect
ukuthi
of the marks.
ukuhlanganisela zonke izimpawu.
That is correct.
Bathi yebo kunjani?
Now, the exhibits that your charts that you've demonstrated before this court do they qualify in terms of the pattern matching? Do they meet master in terms of the pattern matching?
Yes, amashadi lawa senzisile ayakhombisa yini ukuthi ayakwazi ukuthi kumadaniswe wonke lama pattern lawa wabonile.
My lord, they qualify in both striation markings and pattern markings.
Yebo, khombisa imigqa nama pattern.
And you've explained that with the CMS, the conservative matching strier method of identification, if you're using 3D, there must be 6 marks in a single group.
Usichazile ukuthi ngaphansi kwe CMS kuvane kubonakala izimpawu eziyisithupha emseleni owodwa.
Or 3 marks per group of 2.
Noma ke kube ne impawu ezintathu ezihamba zibe amaqembu amabili.
That is correct.
Athi yebo kunjani?
Now, can you just maybe clarify the code? Which did you only use the CMS method in this case, or did you use both?
Manje usebenzise iCMS kuphela noma usebenzise zombili lezi
That
ndlela?
is now including the pattern analysis as well.
Kusho nokuhlaziya ama pattern.
I used more the CMS, but also the pattern matching.
Yebo ngisebenzisile iCMS kodwa ke ne pattern matching ngisebenzisile.
Advocate Nisi asks you, and Advocate Nshilolo also asks you the same question as to what will you do if you encounter dissimilarities and on the first and second errors of your chart, and you answer that you continue to count.
Manje ke bakuzile ko advocate Nisi nomsholo ukuthi uma uthole izinto ezifanayo lapha ku kule umcibisho lokuqala nowesibili uzoqhubeka yini ubali?
Yes, my lord, you continue to count as long as they are in the same group.
Yebo uma ukuthi semseleni owodwa uyaqhubeka ubali.
Now, coming back to the theory of identification as referred to by Mr. Ramusepeli, the first one, as he read it out in the record, reads as follows. The theory of identification as it pertains to the comparison of tool marks enables opinions of common origin to be made when the unique surface contours of two tool marks are in sufficient agreement. And here the emphasis falls on sufficient agreement.
Manje ke njengoba ekuzileke kukhona ke la bechaza khona lendende yencazelo kodwa ke ehambelana ekugcineni nokuthi kukhona indlela ezikwazi ukubonakala ukuthi kunokulandelana.
That is correct, my lord.
Yebo kunjani?
Mr. Ramusepeli also referred to the second principle of the theory of identification, which reads as follows. This sufficient agreement is related to the significant duplication of random tool marks as evidenced by the correspondence of a pattern or combination of patterns of surface contours.
Manje ke uqhubekileke veza isimiso sesibili esikhombisa ukuthi kukhona ukuvumelana nokuthi kukhona ke izimpawu ezilingene ezikwazi ukuthi zibuyiseleke ekuvezeni ipattern.
significance is determined by the comparative examination of two or more sets of surface contour patterns comprised of individual peaks, ridges, and furrows.
Manje ke ukufanana kwezilukuya kwalezi impawu kuhlolwa ngokuthi kuqhathaniswe ke impawu ukuthi zilingene yini ngoba kuhlolwa ke lapho okutholakala khona ukuthi kunamagquma nokuhwebheka okubonakalayo.
Specifically, the relative height or depth, width, curvature, and spatial relationship of the individual peaks, ridges, and furrows within one set of surface contours are defined and compared to the corresponding features in the second set of surface contours.
Ukuthi kuyahlolwa ukuthi yini ubude noma ubufishane bezimpawu lezi ezitholakalayo lapha, kodwa ke ekugcina kufanele ke ziqhathaniswe nezimpawu ezifana nalezo kulenye inhlamvu.
That is correct, Malok.
Yebo unjani?
Agreement is significant when the agreement in individual characteristics exceeds the best agreement demonstrated between two marks known to have been produced by different tools and is consistent with agreement demonstrated by two marks known to have been produced by the same tool.
Kuthiwa ke ukuvumelana ke kuyamukeleka uma ukuthi leso sivumelano sibheke izimpawu impawu ezingaphezulu kwalezi ekuzwanwe ngazo uma kubhekwa ke indlela lezi impawu ezimiswe ngayo eindaweni ezahlukene, lapho ke kutholakala khona ukuthi zimiswe ngendlela ekwaziyo ukuthi ilandela ke lezi zimiso ngendlela ezibekwe ngayo.
The statement that sufficient agreement exists between two marks means that the agreement of individual characteristics is of a quantity and quality that the likelihood that another tool could have made the mark is so remote as to be considered a practical impossibility.
Kusho ukuthi lezi impawu lezi siyabheka ukuthi besingeke zifananane ngale ndlela ezifananana ngayo uma kuukuthi azenziwe azishiyiwe ilombhobho lo ezihlolwe ngawo.
Now, these two theories of, or these two principles that I've just alluded to refers to sufficient agreement.
Manje ke lezi imiso lezi esizibhekile zikhuluma ngokuvumelana okulingene.
That is correct, Malok.
Okay, unjani?
Now, would it be correct that these AFTE principles are based on the degree of similarities and not total identity? As I've just
lokho okusetshenziswa i-FTE
pointed out to you.
kuncike kakhulu ukuthi izinto ezifanayo zingabe zikhona yini ezilingene, hayi ukuthi ke kuzobhekwa zonke izinto ezifanayo.
That is correct, Malok.
Athi yebo kunjani?
In other words, the marks must be microscopically identical, or differently put, the similarities must outweigh the dissimilarities that exist on the surface of an exhibit.
Kusho ke izinto ezifanayo zifanele zedlule konke okucishe kufane ku le ma-exhibit aqhathaniswayo.
That's correct, Malok.
Athi yebo kunjani?
Now, Advocate Minister asks you about the error rate in your career when your peers review your work. You answer that there has never been a false negative, that is, making a negative identification when a positive identification should have been made. Correct.
Kwamnisike ukubuze ukuthi amaphutha ayenzeka yini emsebenzini wakho njengoba ke unike ayosebenza nabo ukuthi nabo abazame ukuletha isiqiniseko sokuthi umsebenzi wakho uhambe kanjani athi angeke kwenzeke ukuthi kube nala ukuvela khona umphumela obungafanele uvele uma ukuthi kuqhathaniswe kwathonakala umphumela osebenzisekayo.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjani?
And you mentioned that at most it was a colleague who returned an inconclusive decision.
Athi ke hayi kaningi okungabonakala ukuthi kungaba ke nomunye osenzayo ongavele athi yena cha impawu lezi azigcini zimnike isithombe sikwazi ukuletha isiqiniseko sokuthi khona umehluko.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo.
And when Advocate Misi further probed you, you testified that you are 100% sure that the firearm, Exhibit 2, fired the bullet found on the crime scene, and that you have no doubt in this regard.
Uba Advocate Misi ke ukubuzelwa suthi wena unesiqiniseko esigcwele sokuthi ke lesisibhamu isona esadubula lesihlava yatholakala endaweni yesigameko futhi akukho kungabaza unako.
That's correct, my lord. I'm 100% sure, and I'm saying with confidence that it's the right firearm.
Yebo ngishilo ukuthi nginesiqiniseko esigcwele and futhi angingabazi.
Now, the defense handed in an exhibit LM LL 3 is the image of a bullet discharged not from the actual or exhibit firearm, This is the test that was conducted by Mr. Dave Peters, the defense ballistic expert. Now, are you able to say what is the value of this exhibit that has been handed up by the defense? What purpose does it serve?
Yini ke engazuzwa ekusebenziseni ke lesisithombe salenhlamvu ethi Peters,
especially in light of the fact that he used a different firearm and not the firearm that was involved in this matter.
masibheka futhi nokuthi wasebenzise esinye isibhamu asebenzise lesibhamu sifanele sihlole.
Now, you cannot look at one part of the bullet, especially one part of the groove of the bullet, and reach a conclusion. You have to look at the whole bullet.
Angeke ukwazi ukubheka umselo wodwa osesibhamini bese ke uthola umphumela. Kufanele ubheke yonke imisele khona enhlamvini yesibhamu ukuze ukwazi ukuthola umphumela ogcwele.
Is that what this exhibit is demonstrating?
Ikona yini lokho okukhonjiswa ile exhibit?
That's correct. It only shows an edge of one groove.
Yebo ikhombisa ke la umngcele we groove eyodwa.
Do you perhaps know what type of bullet was used by the defense expert, Mr. Peterson?
Manje uyazi ukuthi yini uhlobo lwenhlamvu olusetshenziswa uchwepheshe u Dave Peterson?
I cannot recall what type of a bullet was.
Angisakhumbuli ukuthi wasebenzisa luphi ke uhlobo lwenhlamvu.
Do you perhaps know if he fired the CMJ bullet using the exhibit firearm, exhibit 2?
Uyazi yini mhlawumbe ukuthi wasebenzisa uhlobo le-CMJ lwenhlamvu futhi edubula ngesibhamu lesi esikhombisa silethe lapha enkantolo?
Yes, my lord. I went with him to the lab to shoot his own test.
Yebo ngahambe naye elaboratory ukuthi ayodubula ke ama-test akhe.
and he used the ammunition from the same ammunition box that we had.
usebenzise inhlamvu le evela kuleli bhokisi leli ebesinalo.
Do you know what happened to those tests?
Lawo ma test kwenzekeni ngawo uyazi mhlambe?
He's in possession of those tests, my lord.
Yena ophethe lawo ma test.
You mentioned in cross-examination by Mr. Ramos Sepeli, Advocate Minisi, and this morning by Advocate Mshololo that the damaged projectile found on the scene is CMJ, is that correct?
Thoke lenhlamvu elimele evela lapha endaweni yesigameko uhlobo le-CMJ.
That is correct, my lord.
Yeah.
Amongst the exhibits that have been handed up in court, there's a blue box containing ammunition.
Kulezi ikhombisa ama-exhibit alethelwa enkantolo khona ibhokisi eliluhlaza besibhakabhaka oluphethe inhlamvu.
Advocate Nshololo in her cross-examination referred to Exhibit X13C.
Ngisholo usebenzise i-exhibit X13C.
The test that you conducted, did you use any of the ammunition from that blue box? The box that you collected at Cleveland Police Station?
Manje wena usebenzisile yini inhlamvu ezivela kuleli bhokisi eli-blue othole endaweni yase-Cleveland?
Maybe let's put it to you in this. Where did you get the ammunition that you use for test purposes?
Asithi-ke mhlambe asibeke kanje sithi wazithola phi inhlamvu wazisebenzisa kwi-test yakho?
Use the exhibits from our exhibit safe at the lab.
Asebenzise ama-exhibit asathola ku-exhibit safe isisefe esigcina kusona elaboratory.
In all of your tests?
Wonke ama-test akho?
As I said, I used the NGA, I used the cellular ballot, I used the PMP, and then the other two, cannot recall what manufacturer was it. And I got it also from I think it's from the lab also.
Ngisebenzise NGA ngasebenzise Leron ngasebenzise PMP kodwa ke lezi ezimbili ezinye angazi ukuthi zakhwa iziphi inkampani.
In cross-examination by Advocate Nisi and Mr. Ramusipili, you mentioned that the bullet that was recovered on the scene, the fired bullet, had a dent at the tip.
Uze ubaba Ramusipili nobamnisi ukuthi le nhlamvu le eyathola endaweni yesigameko kukhona la eyayilimele khona le phambili kwayo.
What does that dent at the tip of the bullet signify?
Manje ke lokushayiseka kwale nhlamvu ke uchaza ukuthini?
It illustrates the impact of a bullet on an object, but it was not with that high speed.
Hayi kuyakhombisa ukuthi le nhlamvu lena kukhona la yashaya khona kodwa ke ingahambi ngesivinini esikhulu.
Then Advocate Nisi asked you about whether the worn-out barrel resulted in slippage on the bullet. You answered in the positive, and you explained that slippage occurs when the barrel does not fully engage the bullet. Is that correct?
Ubamnisi ukutshele ukuthi ukuguga kulombhobho wesibhamu kugcina ke kwenze ukuthi kube nokushelela nelokushelela lokhu ukuthi kugcina kungalethi izimpawu ezanele enhlamvini.
The slippage was visible on both the exhibit and on the test. And the slippage was caused when the bullet leaves the chamber into the barrel. So there's a slippage on the bullet before it enters the barrel.
Khona ke lokushelela kwenhlamvu uma isuka lapha ku-chamber iyongena lapha ku-barrel esibhamu.
Did you observe slippage on all the test bullets that you used?
That's correct, my lord. I observed slippage on the exhibit bullet on the tests which were fired by Warrant Officer Ruloffs and on the test that I have fired.
Athi angayibona le slippage kule nhlamvu lena exhibit nalezi inhlamvu ezashudula ubaba Rulofse nalezi inhlamvu engasidubula.
In cross-examination by Mr. Ramusipili, you mentioned that you eliminated 3 firearms. The Beretta mentioned in Exhibit X1113B, a 9mm Parabellum and a CZ83. Is that correct?
And kusho ukuthi ke wakwazi ukuthi uveze ukuthi lesi bhame intathu iBeretta the 9mm ne CZ83 kwangezona ibhame ezadubula akunjalo.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi
I
yebo kunjalo.
eliminated 3 firearms. It was CZ70, the CZ83 pistol, the 9mm shot. It was 9mm 6 sour, and I can't call the third one. The Beretta also, which is the third one.
Yebo ngakwazi ukukhipha lezi sibhamu ekusolweni iBeretta 9mm CZ83.
Now, all counsel questioned you at length about the custody and handling of the firearm in question that you retrieved at Cleveland Police Station after Warrant Officer Rulofse had dealt with the firearm. Now, was there any form of identification on the firearm?
Emva kuthiwa ke umbuzo ke eminingi mayelana nokukhuseleka kwesibhamu esatholakala eCleveland emziva ukuthi sisetshenziswe Warrant Officer Rulofse.
That is correct, my lord. When you receive a firearm without a serial number, you examine the firearm. If there is no serial number engraved on the firearm, we engrave the lap number of the case that you are working underneath the trigger guard of the firearm.
Yebo uthola isibhamu esine-serial number esingenayo serial number kukhona esikusebenzisayo o iy'number ezitholakala kwenye indawo esibhamini.
And when I went to Cleveland to book out the firearm, I immediately checked on the trigger guard if the lap number that Warrant Officer Rulofse engraved was there. And it was there. I could identify the firearm as the firearm that was examined by Warrant Officer Rulofse.
Yebo kukhona ke le trigger guard le engihlolile uqala mangifika lapha eCleveland ngabona ukuthi yayisona isibhamu sesinjiswa Warrant Officer Rulofse.
And just finally, Advocate Minisi asked you about the splintering that we saw on photo 9 of Exhibit D of Lieutenant Colonel Mhlahlo and photo 12 of your photo album, Exhibit X13A. And the words that were used were that the splinters are not visible on your photo album, or that they are not there. Can you just clarify the position?
Kukhona ke lezingcezu zeplanke noma ama-splinters lapha esithombeni esathathwa uKolonel Mhlahlo nokuthi ke lawo ama-splinters lawa awasabonakala ey'thombeni ezathathwa uwena awusichazeleke ukuthi umahluko yini.
Were the splinters on your photo not there, or are they not visible? Can you just maybe clarify?
Awusichazele ukuthi la ma-splinters esithombeni sakho awubonakali noma awekho yini.
My lord, some of them were not there. Some were there, but they were not visible on the photo, depending on the angle that they took the photo. The angle that Warrant Officer Mhlahlo took the photo and the angle that I took the photo are two different angles. But most of the splinters that were there on photo of Warrant Officer Mhlahlo were not there on the photo that I took.
Yeah, kukhona ke amanye ama-splinters angasabona angekho kulesi sithombe engangisithathile amanye khona. Kodwa ke konke lokuncike ekutheni ke iengele umuntu ayithathe ngayo isithombe iyini ngoba sathatha ngama-engele ahlukile. Kodwa ke amanye ama-splinters lawo ayengasekho ngesikhathi ngizothatha iy'thombe.
Thank you, Mela. These are the only aspects we wanted to take up with the witness.
Yeah, okay. What's your time there?
It's 1:18, my lord.
1:18.
Yes.
Are we sitting in the afternoon?
Well, there's a witness, my lord, that will be calling next. The exhibits that were given to my colleagues yesterday, I don't know if they've had the opportunity to go through those exhibits, but if they are ready, my lord, we can continue in the afternoon.
Okay, you tell me after lunch. For me, just one aspect, I just want to traverse, Colonel, concerning your experience. In the hierarchy of seniority in the laboratory there, how far are you? Are you at the top, bottom, middle? So in other words, who is senior to you there?
Ngifuna ukubuza ukuthi lapha emsebenzini wakho ubani ongaphezulu kwakho, ubani ongenhla kwakho?
My lord, I would say I'm the third in the hierarchy because there we've got a brigadier, we've got a full colonel, and then it's the lieutenant colonels.
Ngizothi ngowesithathu ngoba kukhona ubrigadier phezulu ebese kuba no full colonel, ucolonel ogcwele bese kuba no lieutenant colonel.
Can you give me their names?
Namagama abo?
The brigadier is Brigadier Mukabela.
Brigadier Mkabela.
That's correct.
Ubrigadier Mkhabela.
And the other gentleman?
It's Colonel Mutsepe.
Ucolonel Mtsipho olandelayo.
That's correct.
And then you follow in the hierarchy.
I follow with other lieutenant colonels in the hierarchy.
Oh, other, okay.
Ngilandelela kabanye o lieutenant colonel abakhona la.
And concerning, am I correct? The laboratory is the biggest in South Africa.
Ilaboratory lena iyona enkulu
Is it-
kunazo
it's,
zonke
Silverton?
ilaboratory South Africa eMzansi.
That is correct, man. We have only 4 laboratories.
Yeah,
in the
fine.
country. We have the Pretoria lab.
Pretoria
that's
lab,
one,
right?
which is the head office of them all.
Right,
And then we have one lab in KZN at Amazimtoti.
right,
We have another lab in PE. at
right.
And then the 4th one will be in Western Cape.
Yeah, no laboratory ke esePitoli iyona ke i-head office bese kuba ne head office eseManzimtoti ese-KZN ebese kuba neseGqeberha ebese kuba nenye ke ekhona eWestern Cape.
But in terms of expertise, which is the most qualified or qualifiable laboratory?
Manje ke yipi ke nochwepheshe bephezulu?
Well, I would say the head office is the one in Silverton.
In
Ngathi
Silverton?
mina
That's correct.
ile head office ese-Silverton enochwepheshe abaphezulu.
How many are you there?
Bangaki lapho?
The ones who do ballistic analysis.
Laba ke
Like you
abasenza
do. How many
nge-ballistic.
is the complement of the staff there?
Well, because most of them are still under training.
Yeah.
So the qualified ones, I don't think we are more than 20.
Bona
And we are
sengathi
serving
ke
7 provinces.
abaqeqeshiwe ngibona ukuthi siyameqa amashumi amabili and futhi ke sisebenza kuma-province ayisikhombisa.
Well, corresponding, if you're serving 7 provinces, it means the bulk of the investigations are done by you guys there.
That is correct, man.
Must be so.
That is correct, man.
Kushuthi okuningi ke balolu kuphenya okwenziwayo kwenziwa lapha kini not here.
And is it your practice that you exchange views concerning particular aspects of your investigation, as you mentioned? Is it a practice you do?
We change.
Exchange views. Let me give you about. Yeah. When I say exchange views, you say you conducted this examination of this case 636/10/1914, right? Or for whatever. When you're dealing with that case, don't you seek advice from your colleagues, exchange views about the work we are doing, or you just do it alone?
No, man. If I have a case and I've got a microscopic comparison that I'm doing, I'll look into it and I'll come to a conclusion. Before I can finalize my case file, I must get another analyst who will come and verify my findings on the same case now. So you'll do the checkup on the microscope that I did and look at my findings. If we do not agree on the findings, maybe I make it positive and then he makes it inconclusive. We'll get another analyst to look into it, and we'll all of us look into the same exhibits.
Manje niyaxoxisana yini noma ukubonisana ngomsebenzi oniwenzayo ukuthi mhlawumbe umuthi ke wabheka ke exhibit ethize uyakhuluma yini nalabanye ukuthi babona kanjani? Yebo, siyasizana uma ukuthi khona ozothi mebhekile abone sengathi mina angibonanga kahle mhlambe abe nomphumela wehlukile kwami, sibize wesithathu ukuthi eze ke azoletha isiqiniseko.
And in this particular case, you say you were assisted or checked, or you did correspond with your colleagues concerning the work you were doing. In this case,
Manje kuleli cala ke uthi wacela abanye ukuthi bazokusiza ukuthi nabo babheke.
That is correct, my lord. In this case, I have requested 4 of my colleagues to just check and confirm my findings.
Yebo, ngacela kuleli lona leli cala sibhekene nalo, ngacela ngisebenza nabo abane ukuthi beze nabo bazohlola.
okay, thanks. Any questions arising?
Just one question.
Yes, sir.
Who was the commander during the performance of your duties in relation to 636?
Mase sibheka u-636 banike owayewumkhuzi ngalesikhathi wenza umsebenzi wakho.
During the
Who was your commander
when
during when you were conducting those examinations
examination meaning the crime scene or the exhibits themselves?
at the laboratory?
Umenza umsebenzi wakho elaboratory mayelana naleli cala, kwakubani umkhuzi wale ndawo nisebenza kuyona?
My lord, I am reporting to Colonel Mutsepe.
Colonel Mutsepe.
Uthi ngireporta kuKolonel Mtsepe.
Because the defense.
Now, you were asked by the court about which one of the 4 labs is the biggest. You call that question?
Ubuzwe enkantolo ukuthi yiphi ilaboratory enkulu kunazo zonke. Khumbula lo mbuzo.
Is the Silverton one?
Ithe ile yase Silverton.
And how do we determine bigness in terms of the number of cases that they do, or how do you determine that?
Ngicela wazi ukuthi uchaza kanjani kubukhulu.
The workload that we had and the number of personnel that we have.
Uya ngokuthi umsebenzi ungakanani, umthamo umsebenzi esiutholayo, futhi ke nokuthi ke abantu abasenza khona bangakanani.
And the other clarification in terms of the accreditation of the labs, are they equally qualified in terms of the operating standards and the policies that they employ?
Ake sikhulume ke ngobuchwepheshe labantu abalapha ele ba qualify kanjani?
My lord, with the accreditation, with the policies, and we're using the same policies on all 4 labs, and then if there's anything that needs to be changed, all 4 provinces will meet and will discuss that before there can be any changes implemented.
And then further, with regard to the qualifications and the training of those members in other labs, is it done by the same trainers and examiners and brigadiers that are qualified in this field?
Manje labanye kulama yamalab bafundiswa into efanayo abantu abanye ababodwa noma kwenziwa kanjani?
We're using the same training procedures and same manuals for all the four branches.
Senzisa indlela eyodwa namamanyala afanayo kuwo wonke ama-branch.
And finally, the witness that is going to follow you, Colonel Sereo, where does he rate in terms of the hierarchy that we discussed with
Colonel Serero yena umanda onaphi ke nala emsenzini wakho ukuthi uphezulu kangakanani?
He's a lieutenant colonel and he's also a group leader, so we are on the same level.
Hayi siselevelini efanayo.
And then just before I finalize, and warrant officer Ntini, at the time he was a warrant officer, where is he now? Is he still in the same rank, or has he now joined you in the level of lieutenant colonel?
Warrant officer Ntini usekuphi manje ngoba usephakanyisiwe yini waba u-lieutenant colonel?
In 2014, when we attended the crime scene, he was a warrant officer, but currently he's a captain.
Manje u-2014 waye warrant officer usewukapteni manje.
Okay, thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you, my lord.
Yes.
I've got no questions.
Yes, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, my lord. I have no questions. Thank you.
Can I just want clarity? When you compiled this report, you were a captain, am I correct?
Ngesikhathi ke ufaka ubhala lo mbiko lona wawusewukapteni kanjani?
My lord, when I attended the crime scene, I was a captain, I think. And after that, I became a major and then lieutenant colonel.
Ngesikhathi ke ngiya endaweni isigameko ngangise ngangisewukapteni emva kwaloko ngabe sengeba umajor emva kwaloko ngasiba u-lieutenant colonel.
So when you completed the report in Exhibit X13C, which rank were you holding?
X13.
X13C, the one we've been dealing with since the morning.
Lo mbiko ku-X13C wawusukuyiphi rank wenza lo mbiko?
I was a lieutenant colonel.
Ngangu-lieutenant colonel.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Are you going to hand over that document, the one you were reading?
We'll discuss that with
No, you
my...
don't discuss it. I was listening. You must send it in. Because
If I may assist my colleague, I've just gotten a message from our expert that he's going to utilize the same in his
The what?
evidence. He's going to utilize
Yeah,
this
so what?
document, so it may be admitted as evidence.
yeah, fine. No
As an
problem. It
exhibit.
has to be admitted because you quoted it and your learned colleague here quoted it. Unless you're behaving like African witch doctors, they die with the secret of healing people.
Yeah,
You know that. You know that story.
Now they part it, man.
They'll never tell you how they cure cancer. They just die with it. That knowledge.
My ancestors told me, man.
That's
you
okay,
are not
fine.
must come to me.
Fine,
My lord,
okay.
it may be marked as an exhibit. I think it's
Exhibit?
triple L5.
Triple?
Yes.
L5, my lord.
Triple L5. Okay.
Well, we've agreed with my colleagues that we may adjourn until Monday.
Monday.
It's also the witness birthday